spray or not to spray? There are factors to consider before you apply fungicides on your corn. Disease levels are number one on Successful Farming Radio.
Successful Farming Radio, providing information farmers need in the field, in the shop, and in the office. Committed to growing your business in agriculture.
Check out our full lineup of Successful Farming podcasts. The Successful Farming podcast goes in-depth into the topics that affect farmers and ranchers. The 15 Minutes with a Farmer podcast offers a quick conversation between an editor and a farmer. The SF Shorts podcast offers bite-sized interviews about agricultural topics. And the SF Daily podcast covers commodity markets, weather, and the big things happening in agriculture each morning. Search for Successful Farming wherever you download your podcasts.
Get the latest ag news, markets, weather, and more when you sign up for today's news from Successful Farming. Register at agriculture.com/newsletter for today's news, the free Successful Farming e-newsletter. Once a day, you'll get an email packed with relevant news hitting the ag industry online and around the nation, along with the 3 big things happening today. Visit agriculture.com/newsletter to subscribe to today's news from Successful Farming.
Soggy conditions in much of the Corn Belt this spring delayed planting. This could also mean delayed harvest in the fall, which sets up a risk for fungal diseases. Northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot, tar spot, and others could affect yields. Before you spray fungicides, there are several factors to consider, such as environmental conditions and where the diseases are showing up. Darren Mueller is an extension plant pathologist at Iowa State University. He says you can get a good indication of disease pressure without walking into the field. A lot of your scouting can be done from the computer.
One of the things you can be doing is reading newsletters from seed companies or the extension services from not just your state, but the states around you, looking at Twitter or whatever social media that you are on, and just look for the chatter. So if tar spot's blowing up in the same areas, you're going to hear about it. Once you start seeing that chatter, you should be walking out in the field and making sure that what they're seeing would be reflecting on what's going on locally.
Know the foliar disease resistance of the hybrid you're growing. On intermediate and moderately resistant hybrids, any yield benefit would not cover the costs of the fungicide application.
My encouragement would be to be using a fungicide when a fungicide is needed. And so try to not look at yield response when you're considering a fungicide, and that's hard to do. But really, that yield response will happen if you're applying the fungicide to manage a fungus at a high enough level that would warrant a fungicide.
I'm Jody Henke. Read more about the decision to apply fungicide on corn at agriculture.com.